Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Last week, I put out a video about guns that don't really have any specific purpose. Guns that you own just for fun because they're cool and you enjoy shooting them. Well, this week I want to do a video about the opposite. Guns that do fill a specific role. Purpose-driven guns, 5 of them in particular that I think every true gun owner should own. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to Sawtooth Tactical and hit that bell notification. So these 5 guns are not going to be in any order as far as importance. I think that all 5 of these roles are very important. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go from smallest to biggest. So starting with the smallest of the 5 is going to be a concealed carry gun. Now, I choose the Sig Sauer P365. This is a very small concealed carry gun. Holds 10 rounds in a flush fit mag or 12 in an extended mag. I keep it loaded up with Federal HST hollow points. It's extremely small, light, compact, easy to carry, easy to conceal, but also shoots very well, and I feel very well armed with it. Everyone should have a concealed carry gun. And you don't have to go with something this small. Plenty of people conceal much bigger guns like a Glock 19 or something. Some people even carry 1911s. Whatever that gun is for you, a concealed carry gun is very important. Now make sure that it's something that you know is reliable and make sure you practice with it a lot. Because if that's the gun that you're going to be carrying, that's probably the gun that you're most likely to ever have to use in self-defense. So make sure that you're practiced up with it and that you feel confident in your abilities with your concealed carry gun. So number 2 is going to be your go-to pistol, your bedside pistol. Whatever it is, in my case, it's another polymer framed striker fired gun. And again, just like your concealed carry gun, make sure that it's something very reliable. But the point of this one is something a little bit bigger, something with a higher capacity. Like this one carries 17 in a flush fit magazine. This is an M&P 2.0, and it's a full size with a 4¼ inch barrel. Something like this is also appropriate. This is a Glock 19 size PSA dagger build. Again, this one carries 15 in a flush fit magazine. Would have a 4-inch barrel if it wasn't threaded, but it's like 4.6 inch. On guns like this, I like to have lights and optics. To me, very important. Important that if you do have to use it, someone breaks into your home at night or something, that you can use the light to positively identify your target. Make sure it's something that you should actually be aiming a gun at or potentially pulling the trigger on. And I like to have an optic because, again, if you do have to use it at night, much easier to pick up a red dot reticle than your iron sights in the dark. Now, backup iron sights, still very important. Both of these guns have iron sights that I can co-witness through the optic. But I like a polymer striker-fired gun for this just because I know how ridiculously reliable they are. And again, lights and optics, bigger capacity, just a gun that you know that you can shoot a little bit more confidently than your little concealed carry gun. I shoot this M&P very, very well. I've gotten to know it really well over the years, and I feel extremely confident with this pistol. And that's kind of the point of this one. A pistol that if you hear the bump in the night, the gun that you're going to grab the quickest is something that you know that you can be effective with. So the third gun that I think that everyone should own is going to be a home defense carbine. Now this can be something like an AR-9 or my favorite, 300 Blackout. The reason why I say 9mm or 300 Blackout is because both of those rounds perform very well out of short barrels. So this is something that is absolutely perfect for home defense. Being that it's only got an 8-inch barrel, you can maneuver it around the home, in and out of hallways, doors, rooms, very easily if you need to. Just like your bump in the night pistol, I believe that these guns should have optics and lights. You need to be able to positively identify your target. A good optic with a big window. I really like this Holosun 512C because it's got the donut of death, circle dot reticle like an EOTech, huge clear window, shake awake, so I don't have to worry about turning it on or anything. I could just grab this and go. It's got a great trigger in it, Geisley trigger, Radian safety. You know, if you followed the build series on this, this was a really fun build. I do have a suppressor in jail right now. Once that gets out, this will be a suppressed home defense carbine. The whole point of that being that if I do have to use it in some kind of situation that I hope I'm never in, hopefully at least it won't blow out my eardrums and my family's eardrums and make us deaf in that situation. Suppressors are also good for flash signature, so it won't blind you in the middle of the night. So I know that there are differing theories about that. Some people don't believe in suppressors for home defense. Well, I do. I've thought a lot about it, and I definitely do. And so this will be full-time suppressed eventually as soon as I get that approved. I've been waiting about 6 months now, hopefully not too many more. But the thing about a home defense carbine, the advantages that it gives you over just a handgun, for one, you get a much higher capacity. And while most defensive situations don't require very many rounds, it's never a bad thing to have more than you need. It's definitely a bad thing if you have less rounds than you need. So more capacity is never a bad thing. Also, you have more points of contact with something like this. I know we're fighting a pistol brace rule currently. Hopefully that rule goes away. If not, and we have to all have SBRs, whatever, but I believe in having a stock or a brace, something to where you can shoulder the weapon, you have a cheek weld, you have a primary hand, secondary hand. All of those points of contact help you to be able to be much more fast and accurate with something like this than you can be with just a regular handgun. Anyone that's done a significant amount of shooting knows that you can be very effective with either, but it takes a lot more practice to get good with a handgun. Almost anybody can shoot an AR well just after putting a few rounds through it. It's just a very, very easy platform to shoot quickly and accurately. And to me, that is very important. This is for like the situation that might call for a little bit more than a handgun. And although the handgun might be easier to grab quickly if you're in some kind of situation like that, something like this, able to get to fast as well, very, very important in my opinion. These can also be used as like truck guns. If you're going, if you live out in the country or you're going on a road trip or something, you want to have something with just a little bit more firepower than a 9mm handgun, something like 300 Blackout is great. Even an AR-9 with the longer barrel, you do get higher velocity and that gives you a little bit better terminal ballistics. 300 Blackout, supersonic rounds are extremely potent, but even subsonic rounds, it is a bigger round at a higher velocity than you get with a pistol caliber, so you do get better terminal ballistics out of 300 Blackout out of a short barrel than you do out of something like a pistol, and that's kind of the point of this one. So the fourth gun that I think everyone should own is going to be the dual carbine. And again, this is something that in my opinion is going to be a shorter barrel length than 16 inches. 10.3, 11.5, 12.5. These are great barrel lengths in 5.56 to still have very decent terminal ballistics. You get good velocities out of them, still very reliable, but also small enough to maneuver around well. Now again, this is something that the government is trying to take away from us with this pistol brace rule. A lot of these guns that I think are guns that everyone should own, well, they've been easy for us to own because of pistol braces. If everyone has to register all these guns as SBRs, it's going to be a lot harder for the average American to own many of these guns that I think are absolutely necessary. But getting back to your do everything carbine, this one is an 11.5 inch. Again, light, optic. I like to have a red dot with a magnifier. The red dot, you get great 1x, extremely fast, put rounds on target very quickly. You get AR capacity. But I like the magnifier so that if you do need to reach out farther distance, you get 3x on that very quickly and easily. Just flip it to the side for 1x, flip it over for 3x, and then you can positively identify targets at a little bit greater distances. You could be more accurate at those distances. I think having a little magnification is very helpful. Now make sure you have a sling on something like this so that if you do have to go hands-free, you don't have to drop your gun somewhere. Other than that, set it up the way that works for you and is ergonomic. But again, I really like pressure pads with all my lights. I like all my guns to basically feel the same. If I pick them up, I'm going to have my pressure pad for my light in the same place. I'm going to have optics that, are mounted that work for my field of view and my eye box. Again, I like having the brace on this. A stock is great too if you want to have an SBR. I like to have more of a vertical grip on a shorter AR. It just works better with the way that your wrist mechanics work. But a do-all AR with a barrel shorter than 16 inches. This can be substituted for like home defense or truck gun purposes if you don't have something shorter in 9mm or 300 blackout. But it's also very capable at reaching out to 300, 400, 500 yards if you need it to. And I think that having something like that is great. If you're gonna have just one carbine, I think something like this is probably the way to go if you're only gonna have one. Again, this one's 11.5 inches, but anything from 10.3 to 12.5, even 13.7 or 14.5, but something in that kind of mid-length barrel and set up to be, for combat applications. Very important for every gun owner to have. And the fifth and final gun that we're going to talk about today that I think that every gun owner should have, well, you guessed it, it's another AR-15. There's a reason for this. The AR-15 platform is just so versatile. You can have so many different roles filled by different AR-15s just by swapping out barrels, basically. But I believe that everyone should have a 16-inch barreled carbine in 5.56/223, whatever, with a magnified optic. So I choose to have a 1-to-6 power LPVO on this. Reason for that being at 1 power, it's almost as fast as a red dot. And it's also got illumination, so it can be used basically the same way a red dot can. But if you need to take those longer shots, you can just dial it up all the way to 6 power. And at 6, you can reach out to a pretty decent distance and be fairly confidently accurate. And that is very important to me, to be able to have a rifle that you can reach out to distance with if you need to. The 16-inch barrel is going to give you enough velocity to make that 5.56 or 223 round very effective at much greater distances than a shorter barrel will let you do. But I still believe in having a light on it, as I do on all my carbines. You never know what kind of situation you might be in where you're going to have to use it. And it's dark half the time in this world. So having a light, I think, on every carbine that you own is very, very important. Again, I like to have a good trigger, AR capacity. Make sure that you get furniture that is comfortable to you. I really like the B5 Bravo stock. Got a Mission First tactical pistol grip on this. And this gun just feels great. This was my very first AR-15 that I ever owned. And, M&P 15 Sport 2, it was very basic. But I've built it out to be exactly what I want and what works well for me. And I think that everyone should have a 16-inch AR. Now again, you can be a little bit flexible. This could be a 13.9, 14.5 with a pinned and welded muzzle brake. Something that gives you that legal minimum of 16-inch barrel, that arbitrary number that somehow makes it more safe, so that you're able to put a real stock and a vertical foregrip on it if you want to. ATF, those rules are absolutely ridiculous, but they are what they are, and none of us want to end up in prison over, putting the wrong furniture on our gun, as ridiculous as that is. But I do believe that having a 16-inch rifle, something that you can reach out to greater distances with a higher magnification optic, 1:6, 1:8, even a 1:10 power LPVO, those are all great options. They allow you to shoot fast and accurate up close, but also identify targets at greater distances and be able to be very effective at those distances as well. So again, last week's video was about guns that are just for fun. This week, it's about guns that I think that everyone should have to fill specific roles, guns that are built specifically for purpose-driven applications. Now, to recap, a concealed carry gun, a bedside go-to larger frame pistol with higher capacity, a short-barreled AR like a 9mm or 300 Blackout, more of a mid-length AR like a 10.3 to 12.5, your do-everything carbine, and then of course your 16-inch rifle for those situations where you might have to reach out to greater distances. And please let me know in the comments what 5 guns that you think everyone should own when it comes to specific roles and purposes. I would love to hear from you, and I answer every comment. Also, make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical, hit that bell notification, like and share. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.